Today we got a special podcast, so please listen up. Today we're going to talk about flexibility. And to be flexible, I am not going to give you what 3 key points we will be covering. You'll just have to listen and find out. Be flexible. Welcome to the Rodney Podcast. Okay, so Easter is a holiday that just about all Christians celebrate. I mean, it's got to be really close to 100%, right? But it's also a day that people who normally do not attend church end up going to church, right? It's kind of like a ritual in America. Maybe not as much as it used to be, but it still is. And as most of you know who listen, I've worked in one capacity or another in churches since 2003, long time. And for a few years at my last place of church employment, we would go for Easter and rent out a large theater hall for all of our Easter services. We normally had on our campus, our regular campus, 3 services. And so with Easter coming, we would need an overflow area and probably 4, maybe even 5 services. So we decided to have just one. It's a crowded holiday, extra people. So the first year, when we set out to do this, we had the room set up and, we built a set and different things for our kids program. So we would haul it in, get it all set up, get it all in place, get it all designed. Took some time and some volunteers. We would do that the day before on Saturday. We would set it up and we would set it up in a small theater room that they had, kind of off to the side of the main auditorium. And so we would also use a second room, a back room. So on that day before, we would get there early, take our time to set up, make sure everything looks good, set the lighting, everything, train the volunteers, prep them. So by Sunday, all we had to do was arrive, be ready for check-in, because computers would be set up as well for check-in. And the main hall, they did this also for the main hall with their instruments and lighting and things. So the second year, we couldn't do this. The small hall was booked. The large one was still available for them to set up, but for us, we could not get in there. And so we're thinking, how can we pull this off? And everybody wanted to cancel. My team, my workers. I was asked the question, could this work? Knowing me, I said, let's do this. What was the plan? Wake up early, maybe 5 a.m. on a Sunday. Yikes, right? Be there about 6 a.m., set up. Train the people when they get there, get ready and to go. Really adds pressure, stress, because you have to get there and you have to set up something where you would normally take your time, get lighting in place, and you have to be there early on a Sunday, on Easter, and get it done. Everybody thought I was crazy, but guess what? It was a success, right? As usual, I stayed cool, I didn't stress, stayed positive, and rallied the troops. And I would say that I was flexible. And that's what we're talking about today on the Rodney Podcast.
Hey, this is Chance. My IG tag is @Chance_AK_Phillips. I've overcome addiction and changed my life. However, 2 things I'll never change is my love for God and the Rodney O Podcast. Where you can hear stories like mine and other relevant topics. Stay tuned. This is the Rodney O Podcast.
Well, today's podcast is being recorded in February of 2019, and it's part of a daily month-long series titled Keys to Success. And today's key is all about flexibility. You ever hear somebody say, oh, you're just stuck in your ways, right? Or how about, but that's the way we've always done it. Those words. You see, I think a lot of people get stuck in their ways. They get used to doing things a certain way. And I guess it makes sense, right? If you do something one way and it works, you would expect it to always work. And that is true until guess what? It doesn't work. When it changes and no longer works the same, then we realize it's time for a change. But a strange thing is most people will double down and keep doing things the same way. Even the smartest people will do that. They'll kind of double down and say, let's do it the same way and let's do it better. Why? It's because they mastered the art of persistence. Another early podcast of mine. Right? Persistence. They know that to be successful, they need to be persistent and not give up. But here's the problem. The problem is persistence without flexibility is futile, right? Video stores, right? Back in the day, they can offer discounts, specials, flashier stores, better popcorn, I don't know. Whatever they could think of, they could never, ever stop Netflix. Even though they were persistent in what they were used to, and tried to deliver their service better than before, and tried to offer things to get people in there, they weren't flexible and they paid the price for it. You know my story. You see that it would have made sense to just not go with the program, just not do it, right? Just give up and say it's impossible. Too many moving parts, too many things can go wrong, getting people out there that early, getting set up, right? Many people said what I wanted to do was just not possible. Well, if you listen to my podcast, you know that I use a few keys myself to make this happen. You know, we are in a Keys to Success series. And so to plug the other ones, I use some boldness, making the impossible happen. I was persistent, right? So I used the boldness and persistence, but I had a positive mindset to get everybody in the flow. I wouldn't listen to anything negative. The him and the hawing was just dismissed because we're moving forward positively. And of course, I was flexible, being able to adapt to the situation and say, we can do this. I did feed them breakfast. I did bring in some breakfast burritos for them all. Coffee too. Christians love coffee. Different podcast. See, when people say you can't, make sure you're the one that says, I can, right? The main point I'm making here is successful people are flexible, constantly changing their approach to adapt and to excel. Flexibility is really about putting a few of these keys together. Well, all these topics are really good to put together, and all these keys to success are really good to put together. And so let me leave you with a few things. How are we able to be flexible? Here are 3 key points to make sure that you are always flexible. 1, determine what isn't working, or maybe what changed. If something's going on and you're persistent and you're saying something's not changing or it's not working and it's not improving, then you got to determine that maybe you need to do number 2, which is don't fall in love with one approach. So something's not working and you kind of fell in love with this approach. It worked before and you're going over and over again and you're saying like, you know what, this just isn't working. We need to change. And that's when you get number 3. Once you learn to be persistent, always adapt to new developments and changes. What do we need to do differently? How can we adapt? How can we make sure that we are going to survive this for the long term? So another quick key for you as we are getting towards the end of this series. Hope you guys enjoyed it so far. Feel free to leave me comments, but also feel free to visit my YouTube channel, Rodney O. My weekly vlog, Rodney O Weekly, shows that I am living what I speak. Please be sure to subscribe to that channel. The link is in the podcast description, or you can simply go to YouTube and search Rodney O Weekly. And as usual, remember this: I want to inspire, encourage, and motivate all of you as you navigate this journey that we call life. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next one.